How's it going, everybody? Nerds Rising here, and welcome back to the Nerd Cave. In today's video, I have some extreme spice for you guys. We're going to be taking a look at not one, but two electric-type Pokemon on the same team. And guys, if you've ever used electric-type Pokemon, probably with the exception of Lantern, you know that not only do they get walled by very common Metamons like Stunfisk, Bastiodon, Trevenant, Diggersby, they are also extremely glassy, and Zapdos and Galvantula are certainly no exception. Zapdos has a very similar stat product to a Great League Machamp, and Galvantula actually has even higher attack than Zapdos, if you can believe that. So just that fact alone, regardless of the electric type in general, makes this team very difficult to use, because our other Mon, Empoleon, is actually not very bulky either, and really Empoleon does not want to take hits either, so we just don't have a Mon on our team that wants to take hits. So when you're running Glass Cannon teams, it's already tricky, and then you throw in the fact that our backline gets walled by G-fisk, and you are in for a real treat, I'll just say that. But that being said, I actually was able to have 4 out of 5 positive sets, and I even had a 5-0 in there, so honestly, this team performed a lot better than expected. I certainly would not recommend it to anyone that's trying to gain Elo, but honestly, if you're just looking to have some fun, and if you're looking to counter all of the flyers that you're seeing, which is actually the reason I built this team, because after the wing attack buff, pretty much every team has a flyer, so I was just getting kind of tired of it, honestly, and I thought, you know what? Let's not lose to any more knockdowns, so that's exactly what we did. And I managed to have some incredibly high-level plays and some very fun wins. So I think you guys are going to enjoy this. And we will see this team in action. And it will be functioning as an ABB-style team. Even though it has a lot of shared weaknesses, it will mostly function as an ABB-style team where Empoleon will be weak to fighting, and our backline will cover that. And then our backline obviously does not want to see ground, and Empoleon will be covering that. So let's get into the team, and let's see what we can do. And we do use Galvantula as the safe switch as well. So Trevenant lead in the first battle. Very bad matchup for Empoleon. And the opponent brings in a Bastiodon. And this is already going very poorly. But you're going to see me do something a little interesting here. Rather than going for the discharges here, I'm actually going to go straight lunge. Reason being, first of all, if this is an XL Bastiodon, 2 discharges will not KO. And I know that the opponent is not going to let me win switch here. So what I do instead is I double debuff this Bastiodon's attack with 2 lunges, and now I can come back in with the Empoleon, and I can fully farm down this Bastiodon and not have to be threatened by these flamethrowers that it's going to be throwing. Because as you see, that flamethrower does no damage, and we're going to be able to farm this thing all the way down, and I don't even think he's going to get to a 3rd move here. And even though Empoleon has a very bad matchup against Trevenant, with an energy lead, Empoleon can put in a ton of work. And as you see, we are nearly at 2 Drill Pecks. I throw 1 more Waterfall, and now I'm at back-to-back Drill Pecks. So I'm going to throw the first one here. Probably going to be getting an early shield, and we do. And now I'm already 1 past the second Drill Peck. So I'm going to throw it here. And do we get another shield from the opponent? And we don't. It actually lands. And now I'm going to bring in the Zapdos here, and the opponent is going to get to a move, and I'm really hoping that this is a Shadow Ball. So I shield, and it is the Shadow Ball. He doesn't bait, and this is massive, because now, as you see there, Zapdos is just so dang spammy. We are already at 2 Drill Pecks, and the first Drill Peck is going to be doing tons of damage to the Drapion. And now, if the opponent doesn't shield this, we're going to just take the Drapion out, so he does respect it. And since I got that shield, what I'm now realizing is I can just let this Zapdos go down, because we are not in danger of being poison stinged down by this Drapion. So I can just bring the Empoleon in here, resist the fast move, shield the 1 move that he gets to, and I will come out with a move loaded. And since the Trevenant didn't bait, he has no residual energy, and we have the move loaded, and we're going to take out the Trevenant with the resisted Hydro Cannon, and that is going to be a very good game. So hard countered on the lead and on the safe switch, but we still managed to get it done. And that is honestly probably the story of this team. Empoleon with an energy lead and spammy Zapdos are really the stars of the show. So we had another Trevenant there, and this time we are met with a Registeel into our Galvantula safe switch. And honestly, this is perfectly fine because we will be resisting all of Registeel's standard charge moves, and we do outpace here. So I get my discharge off first, and as you see, the Registeel's already at half health, and one move is not threatening to us. It does do a lot of damage, but we can safely over farm here. And what I'm hoping is that the opponent tries to call a lunge bait, because Galvantulas do love to lunge, but not this one. He calls the bait, and we take him out, and we now have switch advantage, which is huge. So we'll have to see what he comes in with. Does he bring back in the Trevenant? And he doesn't. He actually brings in a Swampert. And this is a little scary because the Swampert can probably commit shields and farm all the way down. So what I actually do is I lunge, and then I bail out into my Zapdos here. I don't want that Swampert getting ahead on energy on my Galv. And I know that the Zapdos can match the Swampert for pace, and we actually get our move off first, and that forces the opponent to make the first shielding decision, and he shields, so this is big. And since I lunge debuffed him before I switched, I can tank one Hydro. He is at back-to-back, but we do now have even shields, so I'm okay with shielding this Hydro here. And at the time, I was thinking I would easily be able to get to 2 Drill Pecks, and one Drill Peck doesn't quite KO, but it does almost KO. But as you're gonna see, these Shadow Claws do huge damage. He does commit his last shield, but we just barely can't make the Drill Peck. And now, this game is really scary because the Trevenant has so much energy. So what I'm realizing I have to do is, I'm gonna have to call a bait, because if I shield a Seed Bomb, he will easily one-shot me with Shadow Ball. So I call it, and it is the Seed Bomb. That's absolutely huge. I throw one Waterfall, I wait one turn, and I catch the second Seed Bomb on my Galvantula. But the opponent makes a very nice play. He undercharges it, and that gets him 2 extra Shadow Claws. So this game is not over. He does get to a Seed Bomb here, and what I'm realizing is the opponent's switch clock is coming up here. He's probably going to try to catch, so I throw my Waterfall, I wait, and he does bring in the Swampert, and now I have to overfarm. I throw 3 more Waterfalls, and I outpace the Swampert by 1 turn. I take out the Swampert, and since I overfarmed, 2 more Waterfalls gets to the Drill Peck, and I outpace the Trevenant by 1 Shadow Claw, and that is a good game. So 2 Trevenant leads, and 2 times we were able to make some plays, and our Empoleon counters the Trevenant. And wow, these battles are flying by, but what some exciting battles already at the beginning. And now we actually finally have a good lead in Noctowl, but unfortunately they bring in a Unova Stunfisk, and what I'm realizing is I'm probably going to have to stay in here, and I'm probably going to have to commit both shields, because I cannot afford my backline to be lined up with this. So I'm just staying in here. I am going to throw my Hydro here just to get a shield back. And I'm realizing that if the opponent, I believe even if the opponent times this perfectly, I should still be able to KO with 1 Waterfall. And he should be just reaching his next move. But as you see, the Waterfall does KO. So we do actually keep switch, but we do have to go down shields, which is a bit unfortunate. But the nice thing is, since we farm down, we do have quite a bit of energy, but the opponent actually has a Lantern, which is really unfortunate because this energy is not going to be very effective, and the opponent lets it go. So this is going to be a little bit scary. We need this, first of all, Lantern to not have Hydro Pump, because if he does, we get one-shotted, and he does not, fortunately. And he actually goes for the resisted Thunderbolt there, so I'm not sure why, but he's letting us get to another move here. Will he shield? And he doesn't. He doesn't shield his Lantern knowing we have an Empoleon, and our Volt Switch goes through as he shields. So unless it's the Hydro Pump, which it's not, it's actually a Surf. The opponent had Surf. We take out the Lantern with that Volt Switch that went through, and now we have a Noctowl versus our backline. And unfortunately for the opponent, our Empoleon does have some energy, and we're going to outpace this Noctowl. And honestly, if the opponent shields this, I can switch in my Zapdos and I can clean up the backline here. And sure enough, he does shield. Zapdos is coming in, and he's going to sweep this team. This Noctowl has no shields remaining, and even though Zapdos is glassy, we do tank the Shadow Ball. It still does a lot of damage, but we're going to get to the Thunderbolt before he gets to a Sky Attack, and that's going to be another good game. So honestly, the opponent Thunderbolting my Galv and then not shielding that lunge, and the poor charge move timing as well, just really helped us out. But you know what? Honestly, part of the game is just capitalizing on your opponent's mistakes, and that's what we did in that game. So GG to the opponent. And they had a Shadow Charizard, and I'm assuming it's running Wing Attack. So I actually bring in the Galvantula, knowing that Galvantula is the only mon on my team that's going to be basically taking neutral from the Wing Attack. So I bring it in here to avoid the Charizard, and I do shield the first move by the Shadow Drapion, just because, again, Galv is super glassy, and now that we've lunged, we should be able to take this move by the Drapion pretty comfortably, and it's even only an Aqua Tail, which is even better, so we still have quite a bit of health. And now what are they going to do here? Are they going to bring their Charizard back into a loaded Galvantula? We'll have to see, and they do, and it is a Wing Attack Charizard. So what I'm realizing here is, if I discharge and he shields, he could probably farm down. So I actually lunge, knowing that if he tries to farm down, as you're going to see, it's a simultaneous KO. So thanks to that debuff, the opponent loses all that energy, and now we have a 2v1, two Pokemon versus their last mon, which is a Ferrothorn. Sorry, I can't even speak. But honestly, Ferrothorn does not have a great matchup here. It would typically beat Empoleon if it's running Thunder, but all I really need to do here is get a shield, which I do, and now Zapdos can clean this game up. And we'll have to see if he's even running Thunder, and he is running Thunder, so this is fine. Basically, the Empoleon was just there to get a shield and be a damage sponge. So now, even if the opponent Thunders, I know it won't KO, and he knows that. So I actually shield the first, and it is the Thunder, so that's huge. And now I think the opponent probably recognizes that he really needs to get to 2 Power Whips, because again, we're resisting those Bullet Seeds, so 1 Thunder will not KO. And all I have to do is get to 3 Drill Pecks before he gets to 2 Power Whips. And as you see, Zapdos is insanely spammy. Look at how spammy this thing is. We're already almost at 3. We got 1 to get the shield. The second one nearly KOs, and we're already at the 3rd. And even though the opponent is nearly at the back-to-back Power Whips, we get to our 3rd Drill Peck, and Zapdos is just putting in an absolute clinic, and we take the game. So very nicely played by the opponent, but Zapdos is equally as spammy as a Swampert with Hydro Cannon. That, just to put it in perspective, that's how spammy Zapdos is. So really the story of this team, again, Empoleon with energy and Zapdos with energy can just sweep the back line. So we led into a G-fisk that time, and the opponent actually brings in a Defense Deoxys here, and honestly, Defense Deoxys is just so bulky, I have to either get a shield or get some damage with the Empoleon before I bring anything in, and I do get a shield, which is huge. And my Volt Switch does go through here, and I know I can live any move. I'm hoping this is a Thunderbolt bait, but the opponent is running Rock Slide, and that's very bad because that nearly KOs. So now it's going to be a bit tricky. I am expecting to get the shield here with the lunge, and I do. But now can I get to the second lunge before he gets to back-to-back Psycho Boost? And the opponent throws on alignment, and I get a full Volt Switch through. So this is huge. Even if he's at back-to-back, we get to the lunge, and actually he didn't even throw the move, so I'm not sure if he wasn't quite there, but now we have shield advantage and switch advantage. And the opponent has a Clefable in the back, so I'm realizing that I have to bring in my Zapdos here. Even though this thing significantly outbulks my Zapdos, I can't afford to align this onto the G-fisk, so I'm just going to bring the Zapdos in here, and really all I have to do here is get to 2 Drill Pecks, and then I'll have the full health Empoleon basically to take care of that G-fisk in the back. So we're at back-to-back. The opponent's not on a move, so I'll throw 1 more Thunder Shock for proper timing, get my Drill Peck off, and this will easily be taking out the Clefable. And as the notifications come through, we are taking this Clefable out, and now Empoleon can safely clean up this back line here. And this will likely be a Rock Slide bait, but it doesn't matter because we're already going to be basically at the Hydro Cannon here, and he does not have enough energy to get to the Earthquake, so a very good game. And guys, thank you for bearing with me. I'm even more congested than normal, and it's like 1:30 in the morning, so I'm a mess. But thank you for bearing with me here. I hope it just adds some spice to the commentary, the fact that I literally can't breathe the entire time I'm doing it. So, good game to the opponent there. And as you see by these opponents' poses, we're facing up against a lot of former legends. So, some very skilled opponents, honestly, even in rank 14. So we are met with Altaria here, and fortunately he does throw on bad timing and we get a waterfall through, but as you see, these Dragon Breaths are actually doing more damage than the waterfalls, and honestly, non-stab Drill Pecks really do not do a lot of damage to Altaria, but the opponent actually shields. That is absolutely huge for us because as you see there, since he shielded, I knew I could outpace him to a move, So I aggressively bring in the Galvantula, and I get my discharge off before he gets his Sky Attack off, and my Volt Switch goes through. So what I'm going to try to do now is, it's very risky, but I'm going to try to Volt Switch down on Altaria before he gets to another Sky Attack, and we just barely do on very low HP, and the opponent has a Wigglytuff, and I make a mistake here. I thought maybe by lunging I could survive this Charm and get another move, but as you see, the Charm does KO, so I should have just discharged there, but at the very least we did debuff the Charms, and the opponent has a Medicham in back, and the opponent has 3 counters here now on our Empoleon. So we are going to get the shield, but now we have to get to 2 Drill Pecks basically before the opponent gets to 2 Ice Punches. And this is going to be very, very close. But fortunately, as you guys have already seen, Zapdos is insanely spammy. And honestly, this Drill Peck is a very bad move, but check this out. This Drill Peck does huge damage, and we CMP tie the opponent to the second Drill Peck. We're going to take out the Medicham here, and now this poor Wigglytuff in back does not have enough energy, and you know what? We're not going to mess around with any Drill Pecks. We're going straight for the Thunderbolt, and we're easily going to be able to take out this Wigglytuff, and that's going to be another good game to the opponent. So, as you see, even when we have the correct alignment, our team is just so glassy that honestly, it's quite tricky going up against Medichams and Wigglytuffs, just because we simply get outbulked. So, again, another bulky mon in the next battle, a Slurpuff. And this is actually running Fairy Wind, which is nice. But as you're going to see, we do get outpaced. But honestly, the Fairy Winds are not doing a lot of damage. So, knowing that, I don't have to shield the first move because I'm not in danger of being farmed down. And honestly, not the best lead for the opponent. So I'm recognizing that if the opponent is staying in here, he may very well be weakened back to the Empoleon. So I'm actually going to safe switch out of here. And the opponent brings a knockdown into my loaded Galvantula. And honestly, it appears that the opponent has no answer to Empoleon or to my Galvantula. And I get the last shield. And now, unless the opponent Shadow Balls here, I will be able to survive this Sky Attack. And my Volt Switch went through, so I'll have the energy for the discharge. And he Sky Attacks. And we under tap, get to the discharge, and now we are going to be going into this end game with a 2-0 shield advantage. And honestly, if the opponent's best answer to a Galv is a knockdown, I'm just going to save my shield for Zapdos at this point. So I'm going to just bring the Empoleon in, let it go down. And unless the opponent was just toying with me and has like a G-fisk in back, we're going to take this game. And honestly, Zapdos in that 2-0 shield advantage might actually be able to beat a G-fisk. I'm not sure. So what I decided to do here is just over farm a bit, in case it's something like a Confusion user or something in the back where there's a lot of fast move pressure. I actually just build up to the back-to-back here, and I save 1 shield. So we're going to be going into this end game here with a shield advantage, 1 shield to 0, and a bunch of energy, and the opponent has a Shadow Swampert. And as you see, we are already at back-to-back Drill Pecks, and Shadow Swampert does not appreciate Drill Pecks. The first one does huge damage, and the second one will be grabbing the KO. And wow, another Zapdos sweep, and that's the story of the game, guys. Save shields for Zapdos, and it will sweep your team. And again, another Shadow Swampert in the next battle. And the opponent actually safe switches out into a knockdown. And honestly, this is not bad at all for Empoleon. And we're actually going to be able to CMP tie the opponent here to their Shadow Ball. And I'm really hoping to grab a shield because my electric mons in the back love flyers with a shield advantage. And the opponent shields, and you can see what's coming, guys. If the opponent has a flyer safe switch, they very likely have another flyer in back. So I take the Shadow Ball, and now it's Volt Switch time. Galvantula comes in, and we win CMP to the knockdown on the Sky Attack. Do they want to go down 2 shields already? And they do not. So we take out the knockdown, and what does he come back in with? If he comes back in with the Swampert, he definitely has another flyer in the back, and he does. And you know what? Shadow Swampert does not appreciate lunges, so I'm just going to double shield my Galf here, and we're going to just take out this Swampert. And honestly, I think the opponent is probably getting pretty nervous here because we have an energy lead and a shield advantage, so we're going to just start spamming out these lunges. We get the shield. The opponent now has no shields. He is going to get our last shield here. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to throw 1 extra Volt Switch just in case the opponent tries to catch a potential lunge. And they do. And they have a Pidgeot in the back. And the opponent is running Shadow Swampert double normal flyer. And honestly, that is a team I absolutely love. I ran this team earlier last season, but double normal flyer does not like to see double electric backline. And Galvantula fully sweeps the entire team, and Shiny Zapdos sits this one out on the bench. And very well played to the opponent, but honestly, there was nothing he could do there. So Bastiodon lead in the next battle, and the opponent safe switches into a Shadow Victory Bell, and I make a mistake here. I should have brought in the Galvantula, because the Galvantula has the ability to lower the opponent's attack with lunges, but Zapdos does not. And as you're going to see, look at those Shadow Razor Leafs. You would not be able to tell that's resisted. And the opponent very wisely throws some energy here, and he gets a shield. So now the opponent, they are going to have to give up both shields, but as you see, I am not going to get to 3 Drill Pecks, and unfortunately, the opponent is going to take back switch advantage here. We do have a shield advantage, but now this Victory Bell still has a lot of health, and now our Galvantula is going to be aligned to that Bastiodon, so this is very, very bad. So I'm going to have to bring the Galvan here, and honestly, a Shadow Leaf Blade would do so much damage, but I have to give a shield to Empoleon, so I'm just going to call that maybe they're Acid Spraying, and they do, they Acid Spray, and I undertap and I get to the lunge, and this is massive, because now we have some leftover health on this Galvantula, and we're going to take out the Victory Bell, and now, since I'm up a shield, I should be able to come in with the Empoleon here, and we are slightly ahead on energy, and I should be able to take out this Razor Leafer, the second Razor Leafer with my Drill Peck, and we just have to pray that this KOs, but it doesn't KO. Shadow Ivysaur lives, and now look, our Empoleon is very low. It gets like 3 or 4 extra Razor Leafs in, and now XL Bastiodon is so thick, I'm not sure that this Hydro Cannon is going to KO. I really don't think it is. This is going to be very, very close. It's going to be a race. Can our Galvantula come in here and withstand the smackdowns to get to the discharge? We're very close to being KO'd, and on very low HP, we get to the discharge as the smackdown goes through. Will this be enough to KO the XL Bastiodon? With some lag, it is, and that is a very close game. Honestly, that Grass Hole team is super annoying, but it is very tricky. Even though we have alignment, very tricky for this team. And unfortunately, guys, what you're going to see here is when you are running double electric, you are always in danger of being just fully walled. We had a fighter lead, we bring in the Galvantula, and the opponent catches our lunge onto a Steelix. And unfortunately for us, Steelix just absolutely obliterates our backline, and I'm going to stay in and play this out. I don't know what they have in back, but I'm very worried that if the opponent stayed in with a Toxicroak, they have a very, very good backline for our electric types. And what you're going to see here, I played this similarly to how I played the Bastiodon. I just come in, I double lunge it, and I'm really hoping that the Steelix is running Psychic Fangs and Crunch, because I can easily tank a double debuffed Crunch, but as you're going to see, a double debuffed Earthquake still does huge damage onto Empoleon. Look at that damage. You would not be able to tell that was double debuffed in. They actually come in and they get another counter off onto our Empoleon. But as you're going to see, this is looking really bad for me. I do call the Mud Bomb here, but the opponent knows that I'm very weak to the to their backline, because what you're going to see here is after I take this Toxicroak out, the opponent waits for a second, and then he brings in a G-fisk. And honestly, I could probably just sit this back and not commentate on this, because what you're going to see is me just honestly for science staying in and seeing how much damage Drill Pecks do to a G-fisk. And as you see, very, very little. We do have 2 shields, but we are not going to be able to take out a 2-shield G-fisk and a Steelix with our Zapdos. So I stay in. I just shield. I'm like, you know what? Maybe somehow, if we can get this G-fisk super low, we can get the G-fisk into a range where 1 Waterfall will KO, and we can just like snipe it with 1 Waterfall. But as you're going to see, we're just not going to be able to do enough damage to get it into that range. So we're just going to sit here and watch me struggle both with breathing and in this battle. They bring back in the Steelix, and I do get rid of it with the Drill Peck here, and the opponent still has 2 shields. And honestly, what you're going to see here is I actually do kind of make this close, but my Empoleon was so low. After they take out my Zapdos here, First of all, I don't even think that's one waterfall range, but as you're going to see, their Mudshot just KOs my Empoleon before the waterfall even goes through, and a good game to the opponent. But at least we went down and we got one shield from them, so that's something, I guess, right? And the final battle, guys, thank you for bearing with me. We've got another Trevenant. We bring in the Galv, and the opponent here throws right before I get to the lunge, and I know that this can only be a Seed Bomb. He was one Shadow Claw short from the Shadow Ball, so we tank that, and now we're going to get this lunge off. And what I'm hoping is that the opponent tries to farm down, because thanks to this lunge debuff, he is not going to be able to farm down. And on 1 HP, we live, and we get to a second lunge. Is the opponent going to give up his second shield? And he does. We get both shields right away. And the opponent didn't switch out when I brought an Electric Mon in. So I'm thinking he must be extremely weak to Electric. So I bring in the Zapdos to start getting ahead on energy. And the opponent very likely is not going to bait since he's double debuffed. And he doesn't. So we shield the Shadow Ball. And the opponent brings in a Registeel. And honestly, Registeel does not like to see a loaded Zapdos, because even though it's very bulky, Thunderbolt does massive damage. And what I'm realizing here is, since the opponent waited a while to switch in, and also committing both shields on my Galv in the Trevenant matchup, he very likely is going to be weak in the back. So what I actually do here, since I got debuffed there, I just bring in the Empoleon, and I'm just going to use the Empoleon as a meat shield here, because I'm fully expecting there to be something very weak to Zapdos in the back. So what I'm going to do here, come in and just farm up to 100 energy, take out the Registeel. He's basically in Drill Peck range now, so I don't even have to Thunderbolt. And I still have a ton of leftover energy here. So we're going to wait to see what comes in. We overfarm, and on the CMP tie, we throw the Drill Peck onto the Trevenant. So the fact that they came back in with a Trevenant into a loaded Zapdos tells me they must be extremely weak. What's going to be in the back? And it's an Azu. And one thing I like taking... Let's restart. The only thing I like more than destroying a Trevenant is destroying an Azumarill. And as you see there, we had so much energy. We get to 2 Thunderbolts before the opponent even gets to 1 Ice Beam. And that is a good game. So, guys, thank you very much. Thank you very much for bearing with me. This video, honestly, commentary-wise, has been a huge struggle for me. I just literally cannot breathe. And honestly, it's late, I'm tired, and please just enjoy my Pikachu Libre collection here as we close this out. So, thank you very much for watching. I sincerely hope you guys enjoyed this video, and honestly, guys, I'm at 91 subscribers now, so thank you so much for the support. I am just overwhelmed by how much positive feedback I've gotten in the comments, and honestly, just from personal messages, and really, guys, thank you so much. Every subscriber just means so much. And at this point, honestly, we're getting close to 100, so I might just have to do something crazy spicy when I get to 100 subscribers. So, that being said, remember, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so, because every subscriber we can get, the more Pokemon my wife will let me play.